Hello. For some reason, my empty cup of coffee.
No.
For some reason, my whole system glitched there. The song kept going. But yeah, anyways, here we are. And everyone, Alessandro, cheers. I do have, however, the Innovation coffee cup here, my custom made one. We'll pretend to sip it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Innovation Coffee. This is day 2 of Arm DevSummit. I hope you have all had a wonderful time experiencing all the technical sessions, workshops, ecosystem talks, basically everything that's been going on around there. And of course, don't forget the keynotes. This show that we're doing is, as we call it, the Arm Innovation Coffee Special Brew, a live stream that's kind of dedicated to highlighting all the cool things that have happened throughout the Dev Summit, both day 1, day 2, and the things that we're excited to see tomorrow. So we have a couple guests. This episode we are calling the Community Hour of Guests. Yesterday, we did have an Industry Expert Hour, and tomorrow we're going to be speaking with folks from within ARM. Real quick, before I hand the mic over to Alessandro to introduce our 2 guests who I'm very excited to speak with, I'd like to kind of just give a quick recap of what happened yesterday. So yesterday, and I'm going to pull up my notes. Yesterday, we met with Mark Abrams, who was a field engineer and edge specialist from Rancher Labs, as well as Andre Workentine, who is the ARM enablement architect at VMware. There were a lot of really cool things that happened throughout the event with regards to even these 2 people who joined us. Each of them had various sessions and technical talks, as well as panels that they participated in. So cruise on over to the ARM Software Developers YouTube channel. If you're watching us from there, go explore the previous live streams and you'll get a chance to both meet them and hear about the cool things that they experienced while attending ARM Dev Summit, as well as the things that they were excited about attending today and tomorrow. So yeah, that's pretty much the spiel. Thank you all for joining us, and I'll pass it over to Alessandro to introduce our guests.
Thank you, Robert. I'm really excited about today. As Robert was saying, this is Innovation Coffee Special Brew, but it's community hours. So today is going to be about talking to people that are actually attending the event, right? Community members that we love. And, I'm really curious to hear from them what the exciting stuff they've seen so far and the stuff they're planning to watch tomorrow. And I'm really, really interested in knowing more about them as well, because I know they're working on a lot of interesting things to talk about. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the 2 guests in. So I'll bring in Alex. So we've got Alex Glow from Hackster. Hi, Alex.
Hey, what's
Welcome.
up?
What's up?
I've got Fenrir here, who's my little companion. I can introduce him as well. Well, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Fenrir. I am a companion robot designed for experimentation with AI platforms.
Yeah, so he's going to be just hanging out with me while we talk here.
Adorable.
That's awesome.
I mean, I was watching you in the green room, so we can see like everyone in gray underneath the channel here. And when the intro song was playing, his little head was doing this.
Yeah.
He was dancing to it. Super cute.
Awesome. So do you want to tell us about yourself, a little introduction on, what is your specialty?
Sure. Well, obviously I love robotics. And as Fen mentioned, I've been experimenting with integrating AI into robotics, particularly when it comes to things that aren't, I think, creepy, like promoting uses of AI that are ethical and that address the challenges that we have, and we're trying to make it not be biased and how to make it not be co-opted by forces of evil. But yeah, so I'm really excited about some of the sessions here that are relating to AI, to robotics. What I do in my daily work is build robots and do daily videos about the current platforms that are rising in technology, a lot of stuff around ARM. You'll see when we take a look at a few things on my desk later, we'll see that I have a bunch of my favorite ARM IoT and other boards. So I love anything and everything that is sort of hardware, and especially AI right now.
I love, well, first you mentioned the whole AI and AI ethics behind AI. There was a really cool keynote yesterday, the Fireside Chat. I hope maybe Alessandro saw it, maybe you saw it, where Jensen, CEO of NVIDIA, he mentioned how, we're getting to the point where AI code is writing better code than we're capable of writing ourselves.
Wow, yeah.
And you get to like this level of abstraction, right? When you look at the ethics behind AI, is that, okay, well, at some point human wrote code. Now that code is writing other code.
I need to get to that point, honestly, because I'm not that great at software.
Yeah. I mean, someone did break it down
to really develop that.
Yeah. Someone did break it down to me. They were like, at a very simple level, it's, you have companies that build websites, right? And if you want to just, if I want to go in and program a website, you have this nice graphical user interface, like, what is it? WordPress. You just go in there and you can make a website. That's kind of like an example of me not necessarily needing to write code. Something's writing the code for me. Right. Anyways.
And really where my passion lies is around the applications that we use it for, like making sure that it is used for good, things that actually make people's lives better, and sort of not so much surveillance, more about promoting people's quality of life. And there's so much potential. It makes me really excited.
I think what's interesting actually before we we move on from this topic, actually we might touch on it again afterwards, because I think it's a really interesting topic. But one thing I wanted to say is, with this COVID-19 situation that we're all in, right? I think we've all discovered how much technology can actually add to our lives, right? Like, I mean, aside from things directly that are addressing, aside from like things that are addressing directly COVID-19 and like finding vaccines and all that, even just the fact that we're able to do this, right? Like we're running a conference online and we're able to like talk to each other, have like a fun chat without without really needing to be in person, right? I think maybe 5 years ago this would have been impossible. Is that fair? Like maybe I don't know when it happened, when it became a possibility, but.
Yeah, telepresence has gotten so much better, and I've been really excited about the possibility of integrating robots in telepresence as well. Archimedes, my previous companion robot, I want to turn him into a little telepresence companion that people can inhabit him, sort of like an avatar, and I'd be able to communicate in a more emotionally present way with them, or send him to conferences for me, and people would be excited to interact with me virtually, which usually doesn't happen when you're in this situation where you have like an iPad on a stick is not emotionally compelling. But a little owl on a stick that can like actually move around and like look at you and stuff, I think that's so much more compelling, and I'm really interested to explore that further as well.
I think that is the next the next revolution, perhaps. Like now we're talking to each other on phones and computers, but I think actually having a robot that could stroll around and be you like somewhere else, right?
Yeah, a little avatar.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. And I think actually it's quite interesting that we're gonna have I think that is it the next Innovation Coffee, Robert, next week that we're gonna have with Remo. Right, with Jill from Remo.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, we're going to be having Jill, and that's almost exactly what you're talking about. Are you familiar with Remo?
I'm so excited about Remo.tv and everything that she's doing with that. In case people don't know, it's literally a telepresence robotics platform that's based on Raspberry Pi. You can get a kit for it. But basically it allows people to inhabit your robot, see through its eyes, and then you can give them controls on the screen that they can click to like move the robot around and stuff, or turn lights on and off. It's so cool. I'll have to tune in for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good one. She'll be here. Nice.
Cool. Well, I think it's time to bring in our other guest, amazing community member here. David, welcome to the show again. Hi, David.
Yeah. I was on the first ever show, wasn't I? Or the secret first show, maybe.
Yeah.
Pre-season.
Cool. It's really good to have you back on. I'm really excited.
I'm excited to be here.
Do you want to introduce yourself now that we're on the official show and tell everybody who?
Sure. So officially, I am David. Often known online as ishotjr. So I tend to go by that, but I do have a real name. It's David. But on most websites and things like that, I use ishotjr. And even in the media, once I started getting interviewed for a lot of Rebel things, I would use ishotjr, and I'd still kind of hide behind that and not use my real name. But it's okay. You can call me David. But yeah, I am just an incredible enthusiast in this space. I'm really into machine learning and IoT. And once those two things came together, things got really, really exciting. And I actually met all three of the other people on this call with at this event in December. all of us were there, and this is the first time I met these people. And things have just really accelerated and gotten even more exciting. And I've become really intertwined with this community since then. And so really happy to participate in this.
I didn't get to participate in the first one that you were in with Alessandro. So.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, no, you were there. You were there.
I don't
You
think
were
so.
there,
No,
Robert.
I don't
No, I mean,
think so.
that's the one from last year, from last December, right?
Oh, no, I was at the AIoT Dev Summit.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wasn't at the Innovation Coffee, the original Innovation Coffee.
Yeah, the first like video.
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
no,
Oh,
the
sorry.
fun fact is I met Robert at his birthday party.
Oh, that's true. Oh, we got a bunch of sushi and sake. That was so fun.
Sounds
Yeah.
great.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, did I yell? I got really excited there. That was a fun time. Yeah. You weren't there,
Really
Alex. Sorry.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I understand the excitement. Sushi and sake are a great way to spend your birthday.
Yep.
Awesome. So I think this is probably the best moment to bring in our little section. Robert, are you ready for what were you thinking?
Yeah, I think this is a great point for some icebreaker rounds here. So we have some pictures. We're gonna, of course, we are going to talk about the event, right? Like this is to talk about the event, the things that we're excited about. JR, I know ishotjr has a bunch of really cool stuff to share, but we have some pictures. Should I go first?
Go ahead.
This is the what were you thinking segment. What were you thinking? Let me see. I'm going to share my screen real quick. So first one goes to Alex.
I feel like there's so many candidates for this.
Yeah, there definitely are. Got to make it big here real quick. Shouldn't be an embarrassing one. This actually I think is really cool. Ta-da!
Oh my goodness!
Okay, so I have the
man.
first question is, first maybe you could tell us what was going on here. What were you thinking? What are you holding up to the camera? What's on your forehead? Did you get to drive the DeLorean?
Oh, I did get to drive the DeLorean for about half a mile. The problem is that I'm not very good at stick shift, and it was also pouring rain, and it was in Dallas, and we had to get the car from somewhere to somewhere else. This car can only drive about 500 feet at a time before it breaks down. So This was Bay Area Maker Faire 2016, I think. We had bought the DeLorean for a hackathon tour across the US. And oh my goodness, it was so fun. We did about 12 cities in not very many months. It was ridiculous. And this thing needed so much maintenance, but we got a bunch of sponsorships. And so what I'm wearing on my forehead is an EEG device. It's a hacked Arduino that was basically in the headphones around my neck. There is the Arduino that's sort of slurping the signal from this toy EEG device. And I was able to use it with a radio to control robots. So at one point I used it to control a little helicopter. I would have to relax and meditate, and then the helicopter would go and it would destroy my focus or whatever. And then my hand there is one of the editor's choice ribbons from Maker Faire, and it makes me really nostalgic because we didn't this is the first year in 11 years that I haven't been longer. No, yeah, first year since 2009 I haven't been to a Maker Faire, and first year since 2011 I haven't been to a Bay Area Maker Faire for various reasons. So lots of good feels here. And what I was thinking at the time was probably, I hope that kid doesn't run away with my Nintendo Zapper.
That's nice. No, I'm going to stand up here real quick. So the little thing's blocking me. That's really cool. I thought I saw you at a Maker Faire. Maybe I just misunderstood you, but I thought I saw you at a Maker Faire not too long ago, 2018 and 19 in the Bay Area.
I mean, this year is the first time since 2011 that I haven't been to Bay Area Maker Faire because it didn't exist.
It sucks.
This
it
year
sucks.
for various reasons.
Yeah, I remember hearing about all that news. I was at the last one too. Oh well.
Yeah, besides which it's in May, so COVID had already hit, so it wasn't going to happen anyway. So
yeah, it's true. So the DeLorean, you bought this, or Hackster bought this? You were with Hackster. Okay, what happened to it? Where is it now? Did it just get resold?
So our co-founder Adam Benzian bought it on eBay for $30,000, and he eventually sold it. Turns out one of his friends wanted to buy it. I don't know how much of this I'm supposed to say, but I think it's okay. The thing was barely functional. Barely functional. It was very
for $30,000.
And so he told this guy, he was like, "Please don't buy this car from me. if you do, I won't be responsible because it doesn't work well. And the guy was like, no, I want it. And the guy apparently called him back like a month or two later, being like, this car doesn't work. It's a piece of crap. And he was like, I know. So it belongs to someone who I believe lives maybe in Seattle or something. But yeah, they're very beautiful cars, but they are they're better at traveling in time than in space. Let's put it that way.
I can't believe $30,000 for a barely working car. It's crazy. It's just like, I guess it's because it's a DeLorean, right? Yeah. Okay. It makes sense.
I think Alex hit the nail on the head there, though. It's not supposed to travel in space, right?
It's supposed to travel
in time, right?
So this one has a bunch of hacks that people did with the Intel Edison and other type of things. It actually could leave fire trails on the ground. We have video of that from one of the hacks someone did at one of the hackathons. And on that tour, I met Mohib Zaro, who's my best friend now, and a great developer who needs to be more famous.
We should. I was actually talking to him, I think last week, about coming on the show, doing something together actually first, and then doing it on the show as well. So yeah, I'm excited. I think we'll do something cool soon. Hopefully.
Fantastic, yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Well, so I think it's your turn now, Alessandro.
Do you have another picture? No. Should I go?
Yeah, you're up.
I think so. This is funny because I haven't told David what it is, but I think he already knows. He figured it out. You weren't supposed to, but I think you figured it out. So I'll show you the picture anyways.
Oh my god!
What were you thinking?
Oh yeah.
now people think you never change it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so going back to the previous question, I wore this shirt because I actually think that. Did the DeLorean ever go to Boulder, Colorado?
It did. I think
it was at this event is why I wore this.
Yeah.
This is the first time I was.
It was at Spark Fun. They were having the autonomous vehicle competition the same weekend, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. One time, Adam told me that the DeLorean was like outside while I was in here. I never saw it, but it was apparently there that weekend.
Yeah, and we collaborated with Pebble on that event, I think.
Yeah, that was the first exposure I had to Hackster. We had to submit our projects on Hackster. But
what were you building?
What was I building?
Yeah.
A smart strap. It was the first ever smart straps. That was when the SDK was announced, and we built an altimeter smart strap because we were in Boulder, and so. We were very high up compared to what we're used to in Michigan, so we thought it'd be funny to make an altimeter, and we did, and we won the whole thing. So that was cool.
Sweet, congrats.
So this is a picture from this event. I saw Massimo and decided that it would be cool to run up to him and ask for his autograph on my laptop. And Alex, you've also signed my laptop at that event, and Alessandro, you signed my laptop at that event. And Robert is once again left out of that one, unfortunately. But that's what's happening.
I do see a Hackster sticker on there.
Yeah.
Your signature is on top of the Hackster, and Alessandro's is on top of the Arm sticker.
What's funny is I recall almost. I think I was in this little circle here when the picture was taken, and you were getting your laptop signed. I think I remember being right around here. I might have been like behind you or, behind the camera or something.
You still haven't told us. Sorry, Robert.
No, just go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, you still haven't told us what were you thinking, though.
What was I thinking?
You told us where you were.
So here's what I was thinking is I really got my start in hardware from Arduino. It was actually from this book about making Roombas, about bringing Roombas to life by Todd Bott. And I said, you need an Arduino and a bunch of other stuff. So I ordered an Arduino and some other stuff from Spark Fun, just, got a bunch of boxes like this that came. And didn't know what I was doing back then, but got it all working. And so Arduino was kind of my first hardware thing that I played with. And then, a decade or more later, I'm in front of the guy that started the whole thing. And so I was like, I'm going to have him sign my laptop for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what I decided was a good idea. I gotta have my thing. What should he sign? How about my laptop? Yeah, that's cool. So that's what that was. And I ended up talking to him the next day for honestly about an hour or something, because I was telling him about Rebel, and he was he was trying to convince me that we should use embed we should make some new Rebel watches, and that we should use embed for that. And so we were talking about that literally until I had to, literally up to the very minute I had to get in the lift and get to the airport. I was going to miss my plane. So that led to something really cool. The next day after this picture, I got to hang out with him for a really long time, and with Alessandro was there too, I think, during that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I mean, it's funny. The funny thing here is that then you said that you got me to sign your laptop. I think, I was kind of around you at that time, and I think you just felt like sorry for me. It's like, okay, if I get someone to sign my laptop, I also have to ask him, right?
No, I got all the people in that. I'm going to try and pull my laptop and see if I can do that without. I've got it plugged into about 80 different things, and hopefully it won't break. But I had you guys sign it. I had let's see who else. So Massimo. So there's Alessandro. And Alex is kind of rubbed off. I might need you to re-up here, Alex. Sure. You were here. And then this was Ian. Nope, it's the other way around. This was Ian from NXP on the Hover Games one.
Ian Gallagher?
Yeah. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, I wanted to get Pete on the TensorFlow, but I couldn't find him.
I love that crystal skull thing. That's cool.
Thank you. That's from a local artist here in Ypsilanti called Killtote. Actually, wait. Here's the Matrix team. All of the Matrix team signed this.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
and
awesome.
It's actually, like a RFID tag, where if I put my phone on it, it does something that I can't remember.
Yeah. Those guys are great.
Yeah. So yeah,
cool.
That's what
awesome.
I was thinking, is sign my carbon fiber laptop.
And you've got the Pebble sticker on there too.
I have Pebble stickers on everything. Are you kidding? I have my entire mostly Pebble stickers.
Nice.
Awesome. So Robert, should we move on to talking about today, or should we first talk about Fenrir?
Fenrir.
Fenrir. I knew I wasn't going to get it right.
You tried though. So yeah, I think we should do Fenrir first, because I want to hear everything that's inside this device. I want to hear about maybe where it came from, where how you came up with this idea, and then maybe you could also share what are your plans for moving forward on Fenrir.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think Fen himself can give a little bit of detail about himself. What do you got to say about that, Fen?
My design is inspired by the Finnick fox, an adorable little creature with huge expressive ears and lots of energy.
He doesn't have that much energy just yet, but he's going to have more.
My predecessor, Archimedes, is a wise mentor who could sense people's emotions, but I'm going to be much more expressive.
I think he's got a little cape that's going to be part of that. But Archimedes is this owl up here, my first companion robot that I built for Maker Faire 2018. Or was it 2017? 2018, I think. And he had an AI brain that would sort of, he would sense people's emotions. But I decided that I wanted to go with something else here. He's got a little camera, and I want him to do more applications with other types of AI platforms. So right now there's an Intel Neural Compute Stick 2 in there attached to the Raspberry Pi, but I'm working on some other things. I want to do some OpenCVs, maybe stuff with TinyML and Edge Impulse that he could learn to recognize different digits and things that he could respond to, because he's got a voice as well as ears and things. So I want to give him some little animations and reactions that he can do. As for the future,
I'm looking forward to lots more upgrades, proper speech mechanisms so I can hold a conversation, better motor control, and a beautiful tail.
Yeah, right now his motion is a little bit jerky, and this is actually a kind of random programmed sequence. But in the future, he's going to actually be able to recognize my speech and respond to it, I think. So Archimedes was totally 3D printed, and that took forever. I actually had to spend one night in the office until 5 a.m. because the filament in the printer wasn't auto-advancing. It got stuck somehow, so I had to manually advance it every 10 minutes. This guy I can laser cut in about 2 minutes, and it's way better. There's also an Arduino. There's a Teensy actually in here. So one of my favorite ARM devices is the Teensy. The Teensy 4.1 is like the newest, coolest one, but this one is just doing the motor control. There's serial communication between the Raspberry Pi and the Teensy, and so he's going to be able to do speech recognition on the Pi, and then motor control through the Teensy. Or I could even switch to the Arduino Nano 33 BLE Sense, which has a lot of abilities for speech recognition. You can load little models on here, and it's got a microphone built in, as well as a ton of other sensors, accelerometer, microphone, light levels. I think it has color sensing even. It's got a ton of cool stuff, and that could be a cool replacement even for the Teensy eventually. But the Teensy is great because it has touch sensitivity. So I've at various times given him some touch responses. I could also think about integrating the Adafruit Clue, which is another cool board that has a little ARM brain in it that could do speech recognition. And yeah, all kinds of options there. But right now, he's got a Pi inside and 3 little servos controlling his head and his ears. And then this little cape is just sort of to cover up the insides while providing ventilation.
It's funny because one of the first questions I asked you, by the way, amazing, awesome,
Thanks.
super cool. I'm so excited. I can't wait to meet Fenrir in person. But it's funny, like in the YouTube chat, one of the first questions I asked, we were backstage, right? I'm like, is it running on battery or what is it? And someone in our chat here, Eddie, asks, is it running on battery?
Oh, hey, Eddie. I just interviewed Eddie about his Atmega Zero project, which is super cool. And yeah, so the tail thing is that right now he has these 3 lines coming out, which are powering the Teensy, the servos, and the Raspberry Pi independently so that they don't mess with each other. And they're all plugged into a USB hub. So it's running on just wired power. But I do have a massive battery somewhere around here that I use when I want to take the companion robot somewhere. And the idea is that I'm going to make a pretty felt tail to cover the wires that are coming out. He's made of this like 3mm thick craft felt that I can laser cut really quickly. And these are some little spare parts that I have. It's really soft. And it also is very durable. So I'm able to, like, the camera connection is up under here, and I can just flip it up and then it goes back.
That's super cool.
So good. Isn't that great? I love it.
Yeah, I remember when you had your previous companion robot, Archimedes, how he used to like sometimes break the. I think there was one part that would always break, right? I forgot which one it was. Was it the tail?
The wings. The wings would break
yes.
off all the time, and I replaced those connections with zip ties, which are perfect as well. They're super durable. They're really flexible, and they can flex a bajillion times without breaking, but they're also really springy, so it's perfect for adding like the semblance of extra motor control when in fact they're just responding to motion. They would like bounce. And Fen's previous iteration was made out of cardboard. This is like a Cheetos box. And obviously this, it works as a prototyping material, but you can't bend it like you can do with this and have it go back to a pristine condition. So
I mean, I'm already thinking of ideas. This is more like from a design point of view, but like you have these ears, you have the head, everything seems pretty modular from that point up. I can only imagine, taking a pocket or a pouch on your belt full of different colored ears. And depending on what you're doing, you just pop those ears off, put on other ears, or pop the head off, put on another head. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So you can just have like a pocket full of ears and swap them out depending on your outfit and stuff like that. That's pretty cool.
Can do that. I can pop this head off pretty easily.
Uh-oh. No. Killed Fenrir. No. On live TV. We're going to have to blur that out.
Yeah, so he's really easy to fix in that way as well. The felt is really light. Compared to the way that I had Archimedes constructed, there was a lot of wear and tear and pressure on the servos, a lot of weight on the servos, and in this case, it's much lighter. There's much less strain on the servos, and so it's much easier to sort of detach things, reattach things, and whatever, and not worry about damaging it. I learned so much about durability and also comfort. I've got these sort of athletic shoulder supports that I tend to use for attaching them so that they're very comfortable to wear. Yeah.
You have I want to call him a colleague in the field of companion robots. He's
Ajay.
yes.
Yeah.
Do you two get together and kind of collaborate on ideas like this, or I mean, is this kind of you each do your own thing and come together at events and share the cool things that you've built?
So we have a fairly frequent call that we do, and actually David joins as well. David, you're actually kind of driving it these days, honestly. David's to a much better organization than I am. David's got this little flying pig bank that he's doing, super cool. So we talk shop and we exchange ideas, but I think I tend to really sort of like try to keep my stuff until I'm ready to release it, because I know that the more it takes my cycle on producing something finished is very long. I'll have like 8 projects going at once, and each one takes like months to complete. And so I find that it's easiest for me if I just sort of do my thing and then show people when it's kind of done. But I'll show you a sneak peek. Actually, the voice module on Fenrir is not actually integrated yet. It's right here sitting on the desk, which is why it could go into the microphone so easily.
So you have to, if you're going to show us something that's only been seen here first, you have to look into the camera, point at it, and you have to say, you saw it here first.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is actually, I've done a video on this one because I was using the same system for Archimedes for the UNDP COVID-19 Detect and Protect Challenge, which we did a while ago. Oh, I put his ear on at the wrong angle. So this, you've seen here the second time, but this new chassis for Fenrir is completely new and no one's seen it. I haven't even posted an Instagram of it yet. So
I was actually going to share your Instagram, because you did say earlier that you do post a lot of kind of work in progress on Instagram,
shots and
right?
things. Yeah. I haven't even got this fully assembled chassis on there yet, so you did see this here first. How's that?
And
perfect.
I wanted to bring up. So we were talking about Mohib actually earlier. I don't know if you heard that we were talking about him, and he just got called, or he just felt us talking about him. But he showed up.
I think he's watching on Twitter.
Yeah, he's watching on Twitter and he's asking some questions. So he wanted to know about the personality of Fenrir.
Fenrir's personality. Well, yeah. So one thing that is causing me a lot of experimentation is the voice, because Archimedes has this sort of like, I am a British elder male kind of presentation. And then like Fenrir has this sort of younger personality that I wanted, because he's actually a larger robot. But to me, like a fennec is such a small, cute creature that I wanted him to have a more childlike personality. So what I'm using for the voice is this place. It's a utility called... I've got the agenda for Arm DevSummit up here, actually. But it's called ttsmp3.com. And it's you can choose all these different voices. So I spent a long time choosing what kind of voice he was going to have. And in this case, I've chosen this US person called Sally.
My predecessor, Archimedes, is a wise mentor who could sense people's emotions. But I'm going to be much more expressive.
But for Archimedes, I used Archimedes. I used this older British guy.
Hey, it's Archimedes.
So that's, I think, a big part of the personality comes from what voice you give it, as well as the little animations. So I want this guy to be more playful and kind of like and have this little head tilt thing, that like a more curious, like little like, what's going on there? Like, tell me about what's going on. Because he's got this little eye here that's kind of curious and investigatory, and a cute little cape. So he's going to be a lot more sort of fun-loving. You can do these little ear twitches as well.
It all kind of plays together, like the soft felt, almost looks like you can cuddle it, just
totally cuddleable. That's super cuddly.
So, David, I want to bring you in for a second, because you were showing this this other companion robot that the little, is it a little flying piggy?
Yeah. So this is Poodle Piglet Jr. He is. This is a test mule, and so you might want to censor this one too, because this one's got his top shaved off, so that I could work on his wing mechanism. But yeah, I was prototyping his wings, and this is a This is a small version. The real one will be, this is a failed print, unfortunately, but the real one will be about this big, but without the strangeness happening at the top. But yeah, this was, I was prototyping his wing mechanism, trying a couple different angles, just using a servo and paper clips and stuff for now, honestly. And then I've got the Arduino Nano Sense on here. And so
That's
yeah,
so good,
yeah. And my pre-prototype I actually did with Lego, and I just happened to have that handy because I was 3D printing stuff, and it was not working. And I was like, I need to figure out what the mechanism is to turn the motion, the rotational motion of the servo into the linear arm motion that I wanted. So I ended up prototyping it in Lego Mindstorms. And I was like, okay,
Wow.
this is what I need to do.
That's so cool.
Okay. And so then once I figured that out, I was like, okay, now I just need to design something like that to move the wings. And then
Can you share it? Can you put it? Can you share it? Like
The top.
Can you tilt it so that can you share the
yeah.
top of no the other one? Well,
the other one?
either one.
Yeah.
I want to
So
see
just-
how it works actually because
yeah,
it's
it's
quite
a
cool.
gear,
Yeah.
gear with some ball pivots, and so they're translating
yeah.
the motion into the vertical motion of the wings. And so
That's
it's
so
like a
good.
nice swooping motion when the servo moves backwards and forwards.
So you mentioned that's awesome, by the way. You mentioned that there is a kind of gathering or a get together for people who are doing these companion robots. You're the organized one, David. Is this open for anyone in the community? Is it like an open community thing, or is this kind of just something that's more between you all since you've been
Secret.
working on these things together for a while?
I'd say there's like, oh, sorry, you answer.
No, I'd say Alex is still in charge, so let her be. Let her answer.
I do the set them up on Hackster's Zoom account, but yeah, we can have as many people. I think up to like 500 people if we wanted. So far, there's like usually about 6 to 10 people per week, maybe 3 on a slow week. It's every couple weeks, and we haven't like announced it or anything. It's been this really informal kind of thing, just like a Twitter group and an occasional meetup. So this is actually like the first time we're sort of talking about it, I guess. But
I personally would like an invite. I mean, I've been thinking about doing this whole Remo TV thing. We were talking about that backstage. But so like Remo TV, I want to do a companion robot for Remo. And so that's been something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I keep telling Jill, I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And she's like, when?
yeah,
So
This might give me that motivation, joining a call like this.
The only requirement to join is you just have to say, I want to make a companion robot. And as soon as we hear you say that, we're like, come on, come with us. We'll show you how. And so you just passed, and you just told everyone else how to get in.
Hold me to
that's
it.
how I got in. That's how I got in. I was like, hey, I kind of want to make a flying pig or something. And Alex was like, hey, let's do this thing. And so that's kind of how it started, I think.
Yeah, it sort of started with Jay and me, I think. But like gotta give him, like he's a huge driver in the community as well. But yeah, really just if you hit up Jay or David or myself on Twitter, we'll be happy to add you.
Awesome. Very cool.
But
I think
we should. Sorry, go on.
It's not an exclusive community. I think part of my reluctance to share it more broadly has just been because it's hard for me to stay organized, and I feel like once we get to a certain size, and so far, like, we haven't had any issues with this, but I am aware that, like, starting a community means that you need to be really on the ball with moderation and making sure that everyone's respectful and that everyone feels comfortable and safe to participate. So that's if there's a reason that we haven't advertised it publicly, that's why. But we invite all cool nerds to learn about companion bots.
I was gonna say we should put a disclaimer though. If you join and you don't do a robot in the first 1 month, 2 months, you get kicked out,
2
right?
months.
Yeah, it's like chop. You said you were gonna do it.
You have to submit like a timeline of here's your robot, here's the stages. If you miss a single milestone, you're just gone. That's why.
Yeah, each
that's
time
why
we
it's so small.
do the Gantt charts for everyone.
Yeah.
Someone is
I'm in,
appreciating
I'm in.
your Lego skills, David.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, I think we've talked a lot about the cool stuff that you guys are doing. I wanted to touch on some of the cool stuff that you've seen at the Dev Summit and some of the stuff that is coming tomorrow. So I think it'd be nice to kind of run through some of the highlights that you've kind of come across. And I think David, we could start with you on like some of the interesting things that you've come across. I know you were two of the sessions that I was moderating. So, at least you got to talk about those two. No, I'm joking. but I'm really curious to hear from you, like what you found interesting. And one thing I want to ask both of you is, the difference between like a live event and an event like this, right? Like what is different, and what is better, what is worse, right? Like just be honest about it. So yeah, David, you go up first.
As a quick reminder, we're talking about Arm DevSummit because we kind of had a nice gap there, but this is Arm DevSummit, and we're going to post the link here too. Sorry, go ahead, David.
Yeah. So as Alex kind of alluded to, I'm pretty organized and pretty into making lists and things like that. So when these guys said, "Hey, do you want to talk about the stuff that you saw at Arm DevSummit?" I wrote like a 10-page dissertation on it. So I've got some notes over here that I'll go through a little bit, and you can just cut me off when it gets boring or whatever. But some of my highlights.
Can we share the list with everybody? Can we share the document? No, I'm joking.
Sure. Okay.
I would love that. I think you have good insights.
We should make it we should maybe turn it into a blog.
Let me
just say.
I can definitely. I would love to do that. I've actually been thinking about doing that, and now it's official. I will do that. Yeah. Yesterday, one of the things I really enjoyed was Mark Hambleton's keynote. I thought he was really down to earth, and I liked a lot of his references. I liked his description of ARM as a reverse TARDIS, where it's bigger on the outside and much smaller internally. I thought that was really good, and the whole thing was just really relatable. And I was also really interested in his idea about the sort of, I don't know if it had an official name, but he referred to it as the ARM Dev Spec machine. And I thought of like the Surface Pro X as an example of that maybe exists now. But I'm just thinking, I do sort of things like Android development. And I've got like the machine that you guys signed is a really powerful i7, the 16 gig of RAM. And I'm trying to boot up an Android emulator on there. It takes 20 minutes to get that thing started. And so once I started thinking about, what it could mean to be running on ARM and building for ARM and doing everything on ARM on the same machine, that was actually really exciting. And that kind of continued as a theme across today's keynotes too, the total compute idea. Basically, coding on ARM, building for ARM, having the Graviton 2 stuff. So in addition to the mobile stuff I mentioned, how you can push it to the cloud. I just thought that was all really exciting. And I was kind of reflecting on that. And I mean, the thing that I like doing, the thing that I'm excited about is making my ideas a reality. That's like what I actually want to do. Yes, I like to like get geeky and get into the technical details of stuff. But I mean, the real goal is having an idea and making it happen. And I just felt like all these things were coming together where like on so many different platforms, it was making it easy to have an idea and to make it happen on ARM, basically. So I thought that was like the overall emerging theme that I thought was very interesting from all of the keynotes and from most of the sessions that I saw.
If I may jump in a second here, I think one interesting thing that I want to make clear here is that I think the keynotes were amazing and really cool, and I think all that stuff needs to be real, right? And I think a lot of times like the keynotes are just kind of talking about the shiny stuff, but we're trying to make it also real, right? So if you, David, or anyone else has feedback on things that are not working or should be made better, that we can improve, please share, right? Because that's why we're here. And so I guess what I'm going to say is the disclaimer is work in progress, right? Like as everything, it's stuff that's happening. It's exciting because there's a lot of stuff happening and changing and becoming a reality. And yeah,
I was actually a little disappointed in the Microsoft keynote this morning. I thought they were going to announce something big, and they really didn't. Because when they were talking about Windows on ARM, I was thinking, I'd really like a Surface Pro X, and I'd really like to be able to do X, Y, and Z. But the things I've heard about the actual compatibility and stuff like that feels like it's not quite there yet. So I thought they were going to maybe announce something where all that stuff was working now, and they did have some. They said Visual Studio is available, and but yeah, I'm excited for that to get a little bit further along before I dive in, I think.
You know, if you dig a little deeper into some of the other sessions, and I know you've attended a lot of them, but there's like 12 overlaps for every half an hour during the event. You'll get a chance to watch some of these. There were some good discussions. I mean, when you take what you just mentioned right now around Microsoft and enablement on ARM and all this kind of stuff, there was a networking session for ARM-based laptops yesterday where this kind of similar topic came up. And then today there was another ecosystem talk for Docker on Windows on ARM. So everything is getting there, right? So, I mean, I think it's pretty cool to kind of take all these little pieces together, build out the puzzle, find out what pieces are missing, and then work with the developers to get that going, right? And obviously people like you and Alex and everyone else watching in the community are very important pieces to this machine. But yeah.
So not to succumb to peer pressure here, I was going to mention these anyway, but the two sort of office hours sessions with Alessandro were really excellent. The first one yesterday was Massimo, who you may remember from finding my laptop and also something to do with Arduino or something. And at that, he actually announced for the first time the Patenta Vision Shield, which is really exciting. It's a shield for their Pro Arduino, the Patenta, giving it vision capabilities. And I think it gives it CAN bus and a bunch of Ethernet and a bunch of other interfaces. And it has OpenMV integration, which is really exciting because I don't know if you're familiar with OpenMV, but it's a really great way to get started with machine vision. And what was cool about that, it tied really nicely into a question I'd actually asked earlier on the office hours, where I was saying, I basically asked Massimo, I was like, I'm really into MicroPython. I used to be kind of snobby about using anything that wasn't sort of C on hardware. But then I started actually using MicroPython, and like the iteration is so fast because you're not waiting for stuff to compile and flash and stuff like that. And so that was actually one of the questions I asked Massimo. Was about if they're thinking about MicroPython, and then I basically pointed out to me that's already happening with the OpenMV stuff, because there's actually a workshop tomorrow which is going to be about Arduino and OpenMV talking to each other. So that'll be MicroPython on the OpenMV and Arduino all doing stuff together. Alex, you're excited?
That's super cool. What kind of Arduino is it going to use?
What's that?
I said that's super cool. What kind of Arduino is it going to use?
What kind of Arduino is it going to use?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, yeah, true.
It's going to use an Arduino Nano BLE.
Like, not everything is compatible with every Arduino or whatever.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So, sorry. Do you mean the board itself? The
board itself.
Oh, so that's their new Pro. Have you seen the Potenza Pro? It's their sort of. I mean, this their professional. Like the regular Arduinos are like their maker stuff, and now they got this Pro line of things, which is intended for real production deployment. And so that's what the Potenza is, and that's what the Shield is for.
Cool.
The workshop tomorrow will actually be using Arduino Nano BLE 33 cents, right? I think that's
not cents, just regular BLE.
Just regular BLE.
One of those and one of those.
It's basically the sense, but it doesn't have all the extra.
It's got like the no color sensor.
Literally the same board.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that one as well. The OpenMV is such a. I got to interview Kwabena for the ARM Innovators series a while ago, and just that project is so inspiring. And they use them a lot in like deep learning, like racing, remote RC cars.
So I actually, I've actually been working on. So I only just got my first H7 Plus, which is the 32 meg version, but this is the original H7, and I've actually been working on a little radio control car, and I haven't checked this, but I think it might end up being like the world's smallest autonomous RC car. I don't know. I have to look and see what else other people have done. But last time I checked,
make it a pig. Make it an RC pig.
Okay, this brings up a good one that I want to ask you two about. Did you ever participate in a competition called Micro Mouse?
No.
Have you ever heard of Micro Mouse? So you're bringing up these little miniature RC cars, like in the university where I went to. Every year they'd have these Micro Mouse competitions where they put this random maze out, right? And then you have a certain amount of time. You put it in one corner, and then it has to solve the maze, so it learns the maze. Then you have a second time a run around where it has to solve the maze as fast as possible. So the second run is what matters the most, is can it solve this maze? Maybe we should do something like that here, Alessandro, where we do a competition between all the guests that have come on. And do a micro coffee Minnie Mouse, or I don't know what we want to
I
call
don't
it.
know if I want to go up against the Raphael and stuff like that, because
Yeah, I don't know.
he might kind of destroy us on that one. But yeah, and then the other office hours was with Eben Upton from Raspberry Pi, and it was just so cool to be able to ask, like I said, like I've had this Arduino board since 2007, and I've been doing Arduino stuff, and like it was so cool to meet Massimo at the event last year. But like same with the Raspberry Pi, this office hours thing, you could just ask whatever questions you want. And so I came up with this question, which was, did the BBC ever approach Raspberry Pi about continuing their computer literacy project with Raspberry Pi? Because when I was growing up, the BBC Micro was the product, which was the original, basically ARM machine. It was used to develop the first ARM processor, at least. That was how people learned to use computers through school and through programs on the telly. I can still say that. And so now the micro bit has been sort of the evolution of that. And I was just surprised that the Raspberry Pi, which came along long before that and was more of a computer, I was like, how comes they didn't try and continue that legacy? And it was fascinating because I found out from Eben that they had been trying to, they had pitched that to the BBC and told them, like, we'll do it for free. You don't even have to do anything. We'll do all of it. And they're like, no, we could never get involved with any kind of hardware. And so they gave up. And then
That's hilarious, given this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I just thought that was fascinating because like that's the kind of stuff you don't. I don't know if that story has been. I don't know if that story has been told anywhere on the Raspberry Pi website or in the Raspberry Pi magazine or anything. But that was just like a random thing that I came up with that led to this fascinating story about that.
I wonder if anyone's taken like a BBC Micro and put a Pi in it and turned it into a little Pi computer.
I'm
sure
bet.
someone must have.
If they haven't, I'll do it. Mine's still in England at the moment, but it's supposed to be coming over here soon, and I'll do that for sure because it has a really cool port on the bottom. It allows you to do anything. You can jack in all kinds of I/O on it, and it's got the cartridge interface too. So if someone else hasn't done it, I'm definitely going to do that.
We've got another fan. We've got another fan of Acorn BBC Micro here. Puma 5K has two at home. So maybe Puma, if you want to help David turning it into a Raspberry Pi BBC Micro,
I'm down.
That's cool. But
So cool.
that was really interesting. I think I really like those sessions because there was a lot of behind the scenes kind of talk, right? I quite like that. I quite like when you get down with like these, people that are just not just experts, but also like kind of thought leaders, right? Like they've been changing the world. Like both Massimo and Eben, I think, have been changing the world, and it's so cool to be able to ask them questions about, things that you have in mind that you might have thought about, and you can never ask. And I think I asked a bunch of questions. I can't remember all the questions that I asked, but I got a lot of questions answered as well. So that was cool. It was fun. And it's all the recordings are available. So, even if you've missed it, you can still watch the recordings. Unfortunately, you won't be able to ask questions on the recordings, but next time. And
there's a recording I really want to check out from yesterday. That's Andrea talking about the 5 laws of robotics. It sounds so cool.
Yes, it was a really interesting chat, actually. Yeah,
that was one of the most attended. That was one of the most attended ecosystem chats. I think it hit over like 200 people or something that joined. It was crazy. So
the cool thing about virtual events is that you can pack however many people in, and it's not like you're going to tread on each other, and everyone can hear.
Yeah, like remember the plastic beers?
There were like 10 things happening at once, and you had to really choose which one you want to do. There's like so many things. Like Alessandro actually snuck me into the Massimo one because I was actually signed up for another thing. And I was trying to do 2 things at once, and it was actually really hectic and really hard to choose which thing I really wanted to do the most. And
so like a real conference.
Even more than a real conference. Sorry. I was going to say like even more than a real conference because like if you go to the site when it launches every morning, you can click the Join Now button, and then it takes you to Join Conference button, and it takes you to this Live Now section, and you literally see like 12 things counting down, and they all start at the same time. And so there's just it's crazy. So basically, you watch one thing, and then you have to go to YouTube or where we're going to be hosting it to watch the other 11 things if you really wanted to.
We don't have
Well,
much
if you
time left.
can.
But
That's kind of great. Like you're talking about comparisons between like a real conference and a virtual one, and that's like absolutely one of the cool things is that like often for a real conference it takes people forever to get the recordings up, and then you have to come back like months later and be like, is my thing up yet? And like eventually it's finally up. But here it's like instant. It's so good.
Yeah, it'll be soon, very soon. Yeah.
I was just gonna share that we've also have a blog that Andres wrote, so I'll share it here. We'll share in the links as well. That you could read. Again, it's about AI, robots, ethics, and I wanted to take before we switch off. I wanted to take a couple of questions from the audience, but actually they're from Jessica.
Can I answer the one? Can I answer that one from Jessica real quick? The last one that she just posted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So this is a really good question, especially because it addresses what happens in real conference versus virtual one. There's two things that are going to happen here. Most of the conference technical sessions and keynotes are hosted on the platform. So if you go to the DevSummit website and you start watching things that's on the platform, you watch it there, and then almost right after it'll be available through the platform to watch it. There are, however, certain sessions like workshops, office hours, and ecosystem talks. Those are hosted on Zoom. And there was no real easy way for us to host it on the platform because even to access the recording, you needed a password. So what we're doing in that case is we're going to be hosting them on this YouTube channel.
Hey.
But we're going to be linking to them from the platform. So workshops, ecosystem talks, and office hours, all three of those will be available within 24 hours after they're broadcasted. In fact, that's one of the things that we're doing here. The events team is helping us get that content right away. After this show is over, I go right to downloading and uploading. So we're going to be getting all that content up to you immediately. Hope that answers your question, Jessica. So, and sorry, the technical sessions and keynotes will be available on the platform up until about November. After that, they will also transfer over into the YouTube channel. So they'll be available hopefully indefinitely.
Jessica's happy. Oh my God, I missed that one session. Panic.
You mentioned that Andrew's talks about AI ethics a little bit, and there's a couple more that I'm excited about that are like what I think are really ethical uses of AI. Like one of them is like the chaos, applying a systematic approach to the chaos of security, and one that's on predictive maintenance. And I think those are both really cool sessions for like how we can use AI to really make the world better. Like predictive maintenance is such a huge one for like conserving resources, and it's just pretty much unequivocally a good use of technology. I love it.
There is actually another one that is quite interesting. I actually don't know when it is. I should probably know, but it's hard to know when all the sessions are.
You don't have the agenda memorized? Come on, Alessandro.
No. Exactly. I should get fired. But it's actually a session from Alistair. He was actually on one of the innovation coffees a couple of sessions ago, but he's doing a session on basically safeguarding polar bears and elephants out in the wild. So like he's applying TinyML to make sure that basically animals get tracked, and when they get too close to civilization, like people get alerted so that they don't go out and then have to maybe interact with the animal and have to shoot them or whatever. So it's an interesting actually project that he's working on for safeguarding animal life, right? So it's really interesting.
I should mention, Hackster has this thing we're doing right now called Elephant Edge that's all about protecting wildlife. It's like building the world's most advanced wildlife tracker. This is a thing that you can, the submissions close on October 16th. So if people have cool stuff around that, I just have to plug this because it's so relevant and I think such a great use of technology. Yeah. So people have, what is it, the 7th? You got like 10 days left to submit to this. If you got anything, it'd be so cool. I love to see people sharing their work on that kind of thing.
I love it.
Alistair's talk. That sounds rad.
So we need to. I'm so sorry. I feel bad because I want to keep talking, but we need to be conscious of the time. There is one more question in here that I think we should just touch on. I think let's just do a round table here, all four of us, and then we'll close it out, right? So for 3 is too many. Sorry, Puma. What's your favorite one session that you want to see tomorrow? That if you could pick one, what's the one that you want to see tomorrow? Can we do a roundtable? Want to start with you, Alex?
Sure. I'm really excited about one on ROS 2. So the robot operating system that's going to be at 10:10 in the morning by my friend Kat Scott, who's working on an open source robotic system that has been going for, oh my goodness, since at least many years. They started at Willow Garage out here, and they've just been developing open robotics platforms so that you can sort of have these commands that are generalizable across platforms to make different animations and things work and different sensors work and stuff. And so Kat's going to be giving a talk tomorrow on ROS 2. Really excited about that.
Awesome. How about you, David?
I guess I would pick the OpenMV workshop. You're going to get to make one of these, talk to one of these. Robin is going to be teaching that, and I'm really excited for that one. Can I just plug one extra one? Because there was one today that was really good. It was the GCC talk about ARM architecture, and the whole talk was one slide that just said basically, use this flag and just trust us to do a good job, which tied back into my original thing of not having to get down to the bare metal and just being able to execute your ideas. I was expecting it to be this really complicated, crazy talk, but it was not, and I really enjoyed that one. So go back and watch that one from today as well.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, also the one so unfortunately, I have to let everyone know, right? If you weren't already signed up to the OpenNV workshop that David just mentioned, you won't have the hardware, thus you won't be able to participate. You also had to pre-register. Sorry. However, we do want to get those workshops up on YouTube. So if you do go get the hardware at some point, you can still follow the workshop later, having bought the OpenMV hardware from the workshop.
Just need these 3 things: the Arduino, the OpenMV, and something to connect them.
Yeah, maybe we can get those links in the description since we talked about it. Alessandro, you want me to go or you go?
You could go. You can go first.
So there's 2. I'm going to say 2, even though they are on top of each other. And these are the 2 that I would want to participate in. One of them is the ecosystem talk. For some reason, I just really like these ecosystem talks. I've attended the sessions and I've attended the keynotes and all this stuff. The ecosystem talks, you have an opportunity to literally talk with each other and hang out, even though not a lot of people are speaking up there. I encourage it. Tomorrow, we're going to be meeting with John Nettleton from Solid Run, who's going to be showcasing the Honeycomb. It's a really cool developer workstation on its way to being server ready, unless it's already server ready. And they're going to be going over a demo. They're going to be showing off Parsec, which is the platform abstraction for security. Lots of really cool stuff. Fenrir, no.
He tried to make a break for it. He's a kid. He doesn't have a long attention span.
But yeah, that will be a fun one. And then there's also an AWS workshop that is free. It was a free one. I think it's full. So unfortunately, another one you won't be able to attend. Watch it later. But that one should be fun as well. You'll get to try out AWS Graviton 2 instances and run some workloads, I believe. I'm not sure exactly what the workshop entails. I'm not going to be able to attend the workshop because I'm proctoring the ecosystem talk. So those are the ones I would recommend.
And just to close it off, I'm going to say that, actually, if I was able to attend the workshop, the OpenMV workshop, that would be my favorite. Actually, there is that, and there is also another one, and that's why it's so hard, right? Because there is David's workshop on Balena containers over the air update, right? So that's a super cool workshop as well. Yeah, exactly. Cool. And that's really interesting as well. I would do that as well. But unfortunately, I'm busy doing something else. So, obviously, as part of the Dev Summit, so I won't be able to attend those workshops. But there is also something else that I wanted to share with everyone, kind of going back to the concept of, basic tech for good, right? There was this talk about our collaboration with UNICEF and some of the work that Fran Baker, a colleague and friend, is actually doing, leading some of the initiatives in Africa. So they've done a big collaboration on the African Drone Academy, and it's really interesting to see how you could. Through technology and partnerships, you could enable the next generation of people developing cool stuff, right? And potentially making changes and bringing new solutions to the world. So I think this is an interesting. I think it's a panel. Yeah, I think it's a panel. So it'd be interesting. I think I'm going to try and attend this if I can.
I had that written down. I didn't realize it was Fran. She's super cool.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So many cool people you got.
Cool. So I think we've run over the mark, the time mark, and but this has been fun. I mean, so much to talk about. I feel like we should definitely have another. Out of this we could make another 3 sessions. One on DevSummit,
Honestly, yeah.
and then one on all the cool stuff that you guys are doing. It's amazing. It's been a pleasure to have you both on board. And I think you guys are like 2 fundamental like pillars of our community, right? Like it's amazing.
Likewise,
Thank you so much.
Y'all are keeping it going.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Actually, we missed. Oh man, we were supposed to do the
Never
the
enough
crib,
time.
the crib
Alessandro.
tour. I know
Yeah.
exactly.
We can do it another time. Here's like a
Yeah.
sneak peek
Oh,
of
there
my
you go.
hideously messy.
So
leopards everywhere.
that being said, we actually really do. Hopefully, Alex and David, we had you, David, on another, the prequel to Innovation Coffee. We need to get you back on the official Innovation Coffee. Alex, hope we can get you back at another point. And maybe, maybe I'll have my own robot at that point.
Yeah.
But we can, they can meet each other.
Be more autonomous.
Yeah. But I want to thank everyone. As always, I like to thank you, Alex. I like to thank you, David, and anyone watching for joining today. And pass it off to you, Alessandro, for closing us out here. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you again, guys, for everyone, and thank you, my co-host Robert, for being awesome as usual. And this was really a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And tomorrow there is the 3rd day of Arm DevSummit. So there's a lot of exciting stuff, as we just said. I'm really excited about what's on tomorrow, and there is going to be another session like this tomorrow night to do the breakdown of day 3, where we're going to have 2 of our colleagues and bosses actually. So it's going to be a hard session for us because we're gonna have to ask questions to our bosses, right? So we have to be careful what we ask them. No,
I don't know. I feel like you can get away with a lot more when it's
exactly. We'll put them on the spot actually. So stay tuned on. No, it will be fun. It will be fun. We'll do a last final breakdown before the weekend. So thank you all again, and let's close off.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.